Europe is bracing for a recession that may do little to tame the record inflation, and the stage is set for a potential reduction of GDP in the European Union if some likely events occur. So what are these events? What is their likelihood, and how a cold winter could result in a reduction of GDP by as much as 1.5%. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Hassan. I'm a researcher, and on this channel we discuss business and finance in Germany. According to an analyst survey, there's a 45% chance of a recession in the next year, up from 30% just a month ago. The likelihood is greater still in Germany, Europe's top economy, which relies more than most on the Kremlin for gas. Unlike the US, where government stimulus fueled a demand-led surge in consumer prices, inflation in the 19-member Eurozone is primarily due to the surging natural gas costs, made worse by the war in Ukraine. While hefty rate hikes by the Federal Reserve may yet trigger an economic contraction, US price pressures would likely be more in check in the aftermath. In Europe, there is no guarantee of that, as energy is calling the shots. A halt of Russian gas supplies to the European Union could potentially reduce its gross domestic product by as much as 1.5% if the next winter is cold and the region fails to take preventive measures to save energy, according to new estimates from the bloc. The European Commission is set to warn that in the event of an average winter, a cutoff of gas shipments from Moscow would reduce the GDP by between 0.6 to 1%. The European Commission is also planning a set of recommendations to the member states. These include reductions in heating and cooling and some market-based measures to offset the impact of a possible full disruption by Russia, its biggest source of imports. That measure will be totally voluntary, and we all know how countries follow voluntary measures. The EU's biggest challenge this winter is to ensure sufficient gas reserves to get through peak demand for heating and power. Currently, the storage levels are in line with historical averages, above 63%, or equal to 46 days of winter consumption. The EU remains worried that Russia will decide to shut off gas supplies to the bloc in retaliation for multiple rounds of sanctions. It has currently closed the Nord Stream 1 pipeline for maintenance. The pipeline was only supplying about 40% capacity before the repairs began, and it's not known at what volume the pipeline may resume this week. If Russian gas flows resume at a lower level, the euro area will be on edge of recession in the second half of 2022, with inflation peaking above 10% in September, according to Goldman Sachs. A total cutoff of Russian imports in July would mean the EU reserves would be filled between 65 to 71% at the start of November, below the 80% target. That indicates a gap of 30 billion cubic meters of gas during the winter, under normal weather conditions. Assuming tight international gas markets, replenishing storage in the summer of 2023 would be very challenging, and that would in turn impair preparations for the following winter season, meaning that storage filling levels in October 2023 would be only 40%. Consumers who use gas directly for cooking and heating, as well as indirectly as electricity, have little idea of what may hit them. At the moment, many are protected by the price caps, subsidies and long-term contracts. The typical German pays at least 70% less than the market price for gas. Industrial users such as chemicals and glass-making firms are in trouble, as well as a broad list of businesses. You may think a recession and inflation would be tolerable. After all, in 2020, Europe's COVID-hit GDP fell by 6%. But the energy threat is more dangerous. Shortages could trigger beggar-thy-neighbor behavior as states hoard gas, stopping it from flowing to their neighbor countries. Britain has threatened this already. Gaps in the wholesale price of gas in different EU countries suggest that firms fear a breakdown in the single market. Stagflation shocks could raise fears of defaults or even of an Italian debt crisis that would threaten the entire Eurozone. In the short term, consumer prices will rise in order to curtail demand and help build up storage. The goal for Europe is not just getting through the coming months. Europe needs energy independence, but imports would cost more due to the European Central Bank's reluctance in raising rates that have driven the euro nearer to parity. So in this video, I discuss how euro-dollar parity could negatively impact Europe's plan to curb inflation and reduce their energy dependence on others. So thanks for watching, bleib gesund, and I'll see you in this video.